Today we're breaking down the pros and the cons of the VA loan. Most veterans, they don't understand this stuff. Why? Because the military, they don't teach it. The VA doesn't advertise it, and most loan officers, they don't get it either. So how are veterans supposed to figure it out? Well, they don't. That changes today. By the end of this video, you will have clarity. You'll finally understand the VA loan. You'll have confidence, the peace of mind to making an informed buying decision. And lastly, action. You'll be ready to move forward. I'm Jimmy V, Marine vet, VA loan expert. I've closed over 2,000 VA loans. Let's have some fun. Pros and cons of the VA loan. I'm going to go ahead and start with one of these old school T-charts. You guys remember these, right? Okay, I'm gonna write pros over here, cons over here. Let's first start out and say, what makes the VA loan unique? In other words, what makes it a pro? I'm going to say 100% financing. So here's the cool thing about our VA home loan benefit. Number one, right, it doesn't require any money down. Why is that a big deal? Because if you compare it to other loan types, i.e. conventional loans, as well as FHA loans, they all require a down payment. FHA as much as 3.5%, conventional 3%. VA doesn't have that feature, and as a result, this unlocks home ownership for many veterans across the country. How about the fact that it doesn't have any loan limits? Jimmy, how do you mean exactly? Well, a veteran can purchase a home in any geographical location for as much as they would like. The VA loan has no caps. Do any of you guys have teenage children? Well, I do. One of my kids say when they're not lying, they say no cap, right? Well, here's the deal. No cap, the VA loan has no caps, meaning a veteran can finance $1 million home, $2 million home with no money down. In 2020, the Trump administration rolled out something called the Vietnam Veteran Blue Water Initiative Act. This lifted the cap on VA loans and allowed veterans to purchase a home with no money down up to any purchase price they would like. Now, keep in mind, you still have to qualify, of course. You have to qualify by way of income and credit, but it does allow veterans to be able to, one more time, purchase a home, no money down, no geographical restrictions. If you compare a VA loan to a USDA loan, right? Yes, a USDA is 100% financing, but the VA loan allows you to buy anywhere. USDA does not have that feature. So that is a tremendous value add, unlocking home ownership for you and I, right, with no money down. How about the fact that VA loans don't have any PMI? Now, this is a big one, private mortgage insurance. Jimmy, why is that important? Well, because it basically prevents you from having to pay unnecessary fees and expenses on the VA loan. Jimmy, how do you mean exactly, right? Well, on an FHA loan or a conventional loan that has greater than an 80 LTV, basically borrowing more than 80% of the home's appraised value, you have to pay, I call it pesky PMI, right? It's essentially paying insurance on yourself every month in the event that you were to foreclose on your home. Who the hell wants to pay that, right? Not you, and you shouldn't, and you don't with a VA loan. So the VA loan will save you hundreds of dollars a month because it doesn't have monthly private mortgage insurance. Good to go? And by the way, I'm just gonna stop for a second and say, if any mortgage loan originator ever recommends you as a veteran use an FHA loan, right? You better run, not walk away from them, because in the medical field, they have a terminology for this. It's called malpractice. I consider it to be malpractice if somebody puts you in an FHA loan. I'm not down with that. If they do, you send them to me. I'll take good care of them. Good to go? All right. So what other pros does a VA home loan have? How about the fact that it never expires? I'm going to write that down here. Never expires. Why is that important? Because, oftentimes people think that if we don't use our VA loan, we use it. You guys, I've helped Korean war vets use their VA loan. It never expires. It never goes away. So oftentimes veterans think because maybe they didn't use it, they lose it. It's not like our Montgomery GI Bill. Good to go? It never expires. In fact, it can be used multiple times. So I'm going to say that's another pro with our VA home loan. You can use it as many times as you would like. If you want to use your VA loan for the third, fourth, 10th time, right? Create a real estate portfolio, absolutely do it. VA loans never expire. You can have multiple VA loans throughout the course of your career. Now, having said all of that, there's one other thing that I want you to know. A lot of veterans don't know this, by the way. Can you guys hear me okay? All right, this is really important. And that is simply this. You can even have more than one VA loan at the same time. So, Taylor, I'm running out of room, brother, for the pros, but I'm going to keep going, all right? Even if I'm not writing them down, I'm going to keep going. You can have multiple VA loans at the same time. So, like I said, right, you can use it as many times as you would like, but you can have multiple VA loans at the same time. What does that mean for you? It means that you can buy more than one home utilizing a VA home loan benefit. But Jimmy, wait, somebody told me that, the VA loan can only be used on your primary residence and that you can't bum scoop. All right, don't listen to that person. All right, now here's how it works. You have to own home A for at least 12 months, and then you can relocate out of home A, put a renter in that home, and go out and buy that new home, more desirable square footage, better school district, house with the pool, whatever the case may be. But this can absolutely be done, and I have videos on this that you're welcome to check out. I'll make a link in the description. And by the way, if you want to find out if you're VA loan ready, I'll also make a link in the description. You guys can check that out too. All right, so multiple VA loans at the same time. Good to go. Now, how about this? The VA loan can be used for multiple types of financing, from single family homes, right, to townhomes, condominiums, mobile homes. You can even build with a VA loan. The VA is not a one size kind of, one trick pony, right? In other words, you can custom fit the VA loan to your individual needs. Roger that. So what other pros are associated with the VA loan? How about this one, right? I'm going to write this one at the top because this is a big deal, right? Interest rates, right? Why is interest rates important? Because interest rates on VA loans are more competitive, right? Jimmy, how do you mean exactly? Anywhere from 3/8 to 3/4 of a percentage point. Why is that a big deal? Because it allows you to save money in the form of unnecessary interest. Guys, sorry guys, I'm getting excited here. I got to slow down for a second. Taylor, can I get a sip of something here really quick? Bear with me really quick here. All right, I'm going to get a sip here. All right, so back where we were talking about, right? So it allows you to save money in the form of unnecessary interest. You compare an FHA loan, or a conventional loan, to a VA loan. You're going to pay anywhere from 3/8 to 3/4 of a percentage point more on a conventional loan. Who in the world wants to do that? It shouldn't be you, and don't let people talk you out of using a VA loan, because this is by far and away one of the most competitive loan products that exist on the marketplace today, essentially allows veterans to build and create wealth through home ownership utilizing their VA home loan benefit. And by the way, guys, if you have questions, drop a comment down below. I'll make sure to answer it for you. Okay, so interest rates, 100% financing, loan limits up to any purchase price you would like, so long as, once again, you qualify by way of income and credit. No private mortgage insurance, right? Never expires. You can have multiple VA loans at the same time. You can use it for whatever you would like. Single family home, townhome, duplex, triplex, fourplex. A lot of veterans reach out to me and they go, Jimmy, can I buy a multi-unit property with my VA loan? Answer, yes. Yes, you can. If you'd like more information on that, I also have videos. You're welcome to check that out as well. So we've talked about some of the highlights of the VA loan. How about some of the cons? All right. After all, nobody's perfect, right? Not even the VA loan. And if you had to kind of say, well, there's one thing, Jimmy, about a VA loan that makes it less desirable, you want to know what it is? It's the VA funding fee. Gotcha. All right, so let's talk about the VA funding fee. The VA funding fee, right, I'm going to write that down here under the con section. The VA funding fee is a cost imposed on the mortgage by the Department of Veterans Affairs. Think of it like this. In order for us to have a VA loan, you and I have to pay into the kitty, so to speak, right? Because the way it works is in the event that veterans were to ever foreclose on a VA loan, the VA writes a check to the lender for 25% of that loan balance. And as a result, the VA charges that VA funding fee. Good to go? Now, there's kind of a couple of different examples of a VA funding fee. First time usage, it's 2.15%. So if you're buying a $500,000 home, financing $500K, it's probably around $10,000 that's being rolled in to your loan. Following me along on that? Now, for a subsequent user, remember I said you can have multiple loans throughout the duration of your home buying career. If you're buying a home for the second, third, 10th time, the VA increases the cost of doing business on this loan. In other words, they kick it out to 3.3%, which on a $500,000 loan balance, you do the math, right? Math for Marines, right? I can do that math. $15,000 and some change, right? So you can see that it becomes increasingly more expensive to utilize your VA home loan. But here's the most important thing that I want you to know. There are ways to get this VA funding fee waived. Jimmy, how do you mean exactly? Well, the first way to do that is if you're service connected. Jimmy, service connected, what rating? 10%. As little as 10%, you're able to get your VA funding fee waived for life. Jimmy, you mean I'm never going to have to pay a VA funding fee again? That's exactly what I said. And not only will you not pay a VA funding fee, but you can use your VA disability income towards qualifying for the new loan. So you could make the argument that a VA funding fee is a con if you're not service connected, but at the end of the day, it's the only loan that allows you to get a no money down loan up to any purchase price that you would like. And if we as veterans want to enjoy this amazing benefit that we've been afforded, then we've got to put some money into it to make sure that it continues to live. Good to go? Now, there's a couple of other options that I want you to do about this, okay, or that I want you to know about. If you put down 5%, VA reduces your VA funding fee for you. Roger that? So it goes down to as little as 1.5. Guys, my writing is terrible. I am so sorry about that. But nevertheless, I hope you're still following me along. You put down 5%, it goes down to 1.5. You put down 10%, it goes down to 1.25%. All right. So there are strategies and ways to get that lower, even if you aren't service connected. So don't let people talk you out of using a VA loan because of a funding fee. I love Dave Ramsey. I've got videos on this, but he says that VA loans are more expensive in fees. I'm like, Dave, who told you that, brother? And the reason why is because it's not true. You use an FHA loan, you're going to pay an upfront mortgage insurance premium, and you're going to pay PMI. You're going to finance greater than an 80% loan to value ratio on a conventional loan. Guess what? You're paying a higher interest rate, and B, you're paying PMI. All right, I need to settle down here, you guys. I'm getting a little excited. Remember, link in the description if you want to find out if you're VA loan ready, or you can reserve a time to speak with me and ask questions about your VA loan. Good to go? Now, there's some other cons that I feel like you need to be aware of, okay? Now, just because I say that they're a con doesn't necessarily mean that they are true. Jimmy, how do you mean exactly? Well, what I mean is there's VA loan haters out there that will tell you things about your VA loan benefits that aren't true. Things like, well, the VA loan takes longer to close. Let me let you in on a little secret. Okay, the VA does not lend the money. All they do is guarantee the loan by 25%. So if somebody is taking too long to close on your VA loan, best you get a second opinion, because second opinions on the largest financial transaction of one's life is never a bad idea. Right? And you don't want to work with just anybody. You want to work with a mortgage loan originator who understands, I should say, the VA home loan benefit inside and out. So it doesn't take longer to close. Somebody might say a con of a VA loan is the appraisal process. I'm like, brother, who told you that? Right? So VA loan appraisals allow veterans, right, to have a built-in feature that allows them to A, lobby for the value before it's even issued, and B, ensure that they're getting a property that is in alignment with market values. So don't let people tell you that VA appraisers are worse. The VA appraisal process or system has a very robust panel that allows VA loans to kind of come in and go out and get appraisals back quickly and efficiently. I have another video that I interviewed a VA loan appraiser. If you want to learn more about that, I'll make a link in the description for that as well. Now, there's other people out there, I call them VA loan haters, Taylor, okay? Haters, right? They tell people that the seller has to pay for all of the fees. I'm like, guys, I don't know how many years ago you're talking about VA guidelines, but the seller does not have to pay for any of the fees, right? The seller is not going to have to, how should I say, take a lower net proceed because you're a veteran. Don't let people get away with that. So I talk about those cons, right? I'm not even going to write them down, but it's just kind of bum scoop that floats around throughout the marketplace, right, that ultimately ends up adversely impacting or affecting you as the veteran or active duty service member. And I'm not down with that, right? I'm not playing around. Like, you as the veteran, right, need to ensure that you're utilizing this glorious benefit that you have been afforded with your blood, sweat, tears, and sacrifice. Roger that. My name is Jimmy Versalino. If you found that this information was of value and I earned it, consider showing your love, clicking like on the video. And if you'd like to learn more about VA loan benefits, hey, consider subscribing to the channel. I try to educate veterans and active duty military about the VA home loan benefits. So there you have it, the pros and cons of the VA loan. If you feel like I've earned it, consider showing your love, clicking like on the video. Hey, thank you. We'll talk to you next time.